Across the developing world, populations are growing rapidly and concentrating in urban areas, making clean water and sanitation an increasingly critical resource. In the next few decades, a third of the world's population is expected to have access to just half the water it needs. In agriculture, the scarcity of water is threatening food production and global economic growth. Without action, water security could turn into the world's next crisis. Preventing it will depend on innovative partnerships and technologies that help bring clean, affordable water to previously parched regions and cities. For years, we had the same problems as everyone else in Bucharest. The water was rusty, and it tasted funny, briny, with too much chlorine. There was something definitely wrong with the water. You could see it and taste it.
Our farm was no longer really a farm. It was in distress because there was no water. We dug deeper wells each year, but there was nothing left to find, so everyone began to uproot their trees and abandon their land. We lost all hope because without water there is nothing. Water is the source of life, of everything.
For rural and urban populations alike, access to a reliable source of water is essential. In the city of Bucharest, water services in the 1990s had deteriorated considerably under municipal provision.
During the RGAB period, water service was irregular. Pressure was low, and water quality failed to meet European and Romanian health standards. During the summer, there were often outbreaks of waterborne diseases. Neither the city nor the national government had the money or the know-how to fix the system and raise service levels. We decided that bringing in a private firm to manage the system and finance improvements was the best way forward.
In 2000, the city of Bucharest entered into a 25-year concession contract for its water utility with Apa Nova, a subsidiary of the international water provider Veolia.
The concession was awarded based on just one criterion: the lowest price offered for water and wastewater services among pre-qualified investors. IFC managed the tender process and designed an innovative public-private partnership between Apa Nova and the municipality of Bucharest. What stands out is that the contract is output-based, so rather than impose compulsory investments on Apa Nova, the company is obligated to meet specific service targets. Tariff increases are tied to improvements in service levels, which are closely monitored by us, the technical regulator. In the event of a dispute, arbitration is delegated to an international expert committee, which excludes Romanian and French participants.
An external evaluation of the concession contract found marked improvement in water services in Bucharest over the last decade, accomplished primarily through gains in operating efficiency.
We have done many things to increase efficiency. One has been process automation at our pumping stations, which led to a reduction in the labor force needed. Before, we had 25 people at each station. Now we have 3-person shifts in charge of managing the entire water supply. Labor force reductions are never easy. Despite initial tensions with management, staff reductions were addressed by a social plan incorporated in the contract, which provided clear protection to workers and became fully implemented when Veolia sold 10% of Apa Nova's shares to staff. With just half of the initial number of employees, we have invested a lot in training to increase labor productivity. For instance, a plumber used to performing 1 or 2 skills is now multi-skilled and can be staffed for other activities. We also focused on cost reduction by decreasing energy consumption. This meant replacing old and inefficient pumps at our treatment centers with more energy-efficient technology using variable speeds. Across the distribution network, many pipes, some of which dated from over 100 years, have also been replaced, which helps reduce non-revenue water lost through leakage and underbilling.
Efficiency gains were also obtained by further reducing water wastage and improving invoice collections.
People used to joke before the concession that water comes from the wall, so why pay for it? The result was exaggerated consumption and no respect for water. Now, with a tariff that reflects the value of services delivered, consumption has fallen towards levels in Western European countries. we have achieved a high degree of invoice collection, which makes us think that Bucharest citizens understand that in order to have high-quality services, you have to pay for them.
The result of these gains, about $350 million as of 2008, has allowed Apanova to generate the operating cash flow to finance more than $260 million in total investment, all without public subsidy, while keeping the combined water and sewage tariff below the average for Romanian cities. According to a financial simulation constructed by the evaluation, in order to achieve the same level of service improvements without the concession, the typical household bill would have needed to almost double. At the same time, the concession has lifted the city's standard of service above other Romanian towns and toward Western European levels. Before, water was pumped only between set hours of the day. When it came on, it was rusty and muddy, so we had to leave the water running for about an hour until it was clear. It would hardly go up to the 8th floor where I live. With Apanova, water service is now continuous, at good pressures, and I can instantly turn on the washing machine without having to wait for the water to become clear. I can't notice the water anymore. It no longer looks rusty or tastes like chlorine. Now I feel safe drinking the same water my dog drinks from the tap.
The water comes exactly as I need it. I have the appropriate pH balance and chlorine level needed to keep the pool free of bacteria and safe for animals. I don't have to spend as much on solutions to neutralize the water. This is good for business and for my pets.
However, in some Bucharest neighborhoods awaiting pipe replacements and other repairs, improvements in service levels are not as evident.
We've had a lot of problems because sometimes the water stops running for 3 to 5 hours at a time, and this means a loss for our business. We've had to drill a well to make sure there's enough water to wash our car.
My tap sometimes gets clogged because the water carries a lot of sand and other sediments. It smells like chlorine, and I can only use it for washing dishes. Not a lot has changed, only the invoice. It is much nicer and a little too expensive compared to our salaries. Overall, the Bucharest concession has enabled most residents to enjoy higher quality water services at lower costs than under continued municipal provision.
There are reasons for joy, but our work is not over. We still have poor system efficiency and network coverage for a city the size of Bucharest, and must improve our metering to single households. We have produced various action plans in order to mitigate these losses and improve performance. The city is happy with its partnership with Apanova. We have broadened their scope to cover additional sewage services, along with the city's water fountains. We look forward to extending the PPP model to other public service systems in Romania.
In Morocco, citrus farmers in El Guerdane faced serious depletion of the water table used traditionally to irrigate their orchards.
Farmers dug at a depth of 300, 400 meters and there was no water. I dug 7 wells and found nothing. Many dug themselves to exhaustion. They lost money as pumping costs swelled, but there was nothing they could do without water. They had to uproot their trees and abandon their land. We are in Souss-Massa, a very important region for Morocco's agricultural production. Souss-Massa exports represent 70% of the country's citrus exports, of which El Guerdane contributes a significant portion. In recent years, the main problem was the lack of water, which threatened the region's citrus production and export market.
The farmers of El Guerdane proposed a solution: substitute underground water used for irrigation with surface water channeled from an existing dam in the Souss River.
The project required building a 93-kilometer conveyor pipeline from the Olus Dam to the El Guerdane perimeter, along with a pressurized drip irrigation network that spanned more than 300 kilometers over an area of 10,000 hectares. Initially, the project was to be carried out by the state, but we could not mobilize the necessary financial resources. Then we tried to implement the project in partnership with the Farmers Association, but we quickly realized that they lacked the technical, financial, and managerial capacities to implement a project of this magnitude. That is when we decided to delegate authority to a private operator within the framework of a public-private partnership. We selected IFC to advise us on the transaction and help design the concession contract for a 30-year build, transfer, operate of a conveyor pipeline and distribution network. The setup was such that the state subsidized part of the project to help keep the price of water within the farmers' ability to pay. Farmers, in turn, also paid an initial subscription to guarantee their demand, and the private operator financed the rest. It was the first arrangement of its kind in the world in the domain of irrigation.
The concession was awarded in 2005 to Amen Sous, a joint venture company offering the lowest sales price to farmers per cubic meter of water.
Our job was to deliver up to 45 million cubic meters of irrigation water per year from the Eau-Luce Dam to approximately 600 citrus farmers. Despite some early reluctance by farmers to subscribe to the service, we started construction in 2007, and in 2009 the project was fully operational and fully subscribed. In fact, today we have a waiting list of more than 200 farmers requiring 7,000 hectares of irrigation. Compared to what it costs to pump water from a well, the water from the dam is still expensive for most farmers. But it is difficult to complain when we have water that we didn't have before.
With an increased supply of water, the local Guerdane economy is benefiting from a reinvigorated agricultural sector.
We grow several citrus varieties, clementines, navel oranges, Valencia oranges, across 10 hectares. The project has helped revive our land, and the process of abandoning our orchards has stopped. Now that the water comes from the dam, the water table is increased a little and we can use both sources for irrigation. Farmers have confidence again because they have water and have begun to replant what they abandoned. The region is back on track. The project of El Guerdane has enabled our cooperative to replant several orchards and increase the tonnage of fruit, especially due to the new drip irrigation network. Without the project, there would have been a decrease in tonnage of 40 to 50%, and in turn, a decrease in activity at the cooperative. So there would have been fewer jobs, a smaller workforce, and lesser income for the community. Moreover, the project has helped restore the environmental balance of the area by safeguarding the overexploitation of the water table and promoting the efficient use of water.
Although the increased capacity is welcomed, for most farmers, more water is still needed.
The amount of water we receive from the dam is not enough for the trees. If you don't have water from a well to complement it, you will only survive, and that's it. The project today gives us 4,000 tons of water per hectare, but a hectare in principle needs 8,000 tons, so we are getting just half the water we need. We hope that they will increase our quota and give us more water one day. Currently, we are exploring the possibility of updating the original master plan in order to increase the endowment from 45 million to 60 million cubic meters from additional hydraulic sources.
Water security is also affected by large corporations that rely heavily on water for their operations. Located in India, Jain Irrigation is one of the largest manufacturers of irrigation systems in the world. The company is also one of the largest processors of food in the world, relying on a long supply chain of contract farmers. Water is at the crux of their business.
All our products like irrigation systems, drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, even the creation of water resource like water harvesting structures in which the company has done a lot of R&D. All these is towards the conservation of water.
Since 2009, IFC has worked with Jain Irrigation in piloting one of the first water footprint assessments in Asia's agribusiness sector. It aims at reducing negative impacts on community water resources resulting from a company's direct water consumption and its suppliers' indirect usage.
For example, in our food processing factory, we are trying to reduce the usage of water which we use for washing the mangoes or other fruits which we buy. So at every step into the company, whether we are using water for, let's say, air conditioning or chilling into the plant, so we want to ensure that not only we measure water footprinting, but we create additional water, and whatever we are using, we use it in most judicious manner. And IFC is providing training to our people. They are providing ways to measure how to go about it. What about the blue water? What about the green water? It's all about this whole science about the water.
The company has already made considerable headway reducing its direct water consumption.
Within company, we use only rainwater harvested water. We don't use any other water which is provided by municipal corporation or any external water. We have 14 large-scale bodies in which we store the rainwater during the monsoon. And this water is used in all our agriculture, in our processing plants and all the operations. And again, this water is reused after treatment. So, from that point of view, our product water footprint is definitely very small.
However, instilling the same water conservation philosophy across its supply chain remains a challenge for Jain Irrigation.
The major problem with small farmers is the initial investment required for purchase of irrigation sets. Presently, some state governments are providing subsidies anywhere between 50% to 90%. Lot of convincing is required because many of the farmers, they think the irrigation systems are required only for saving water, but they are also helping increasing productivity. If both the things are convincing to the farmer, he will definitely go in.
Although a lot of extension work with farmers is still needed, a few farmers in the company's supply chain have already begun to enjoy the benefits of water efficiency.
Earlier, we used to apply the water directly, which caused a lot of wastage. Since we started using drip irrigation, we don't just save water, we save on cost and improve our yields. I save about 70% of water now since I started using drip irrigation. Also, my yield is doubled. Cotton, for example, never used to grow here, but now it does, ever since I switched from flood to drip irrigation.
IFC continues to address the developing world's growing need for water. For both rural and urban populations alike, water security will depend on new solutions and partnerships that energize the private sector to deepen its involvement.